In the chaos of daily life, it's easy to feel like you're drowning, buried under stress, anxiety, and constant pressure. But there is a way to find calm in the middle of the storm, a way to feel centered and clear-headed, even when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. And that path isn't new, it's been followed for thousands of years. One man who lived by it, through war, loss, and betrayal, was the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Imagine this. No matter what comes your way, conflict at home, pressure at work, unexpected setbacks, you stay steady, you stay grounded, you stay in control. This isn't just a dream, it's the heart of Stoicism, a powerful way of thinking that helps you take back control over your emotions and your reactions so that you can live with more purpose and less pain. Today, we're diving into the core of Stoic philosophy and walking through 12 timeless principles that can transform how you deal with life's challenges. These teachings, inspired by Marcus Aurelius and the other great Stoics, aren't just ideas to think about, they're tools to use. Real, everyday habits that help you build strength, peace, and emotional resilience. Whether you're dealing with a difficult relationship, feeling overwhelmed by responsibilities, or simply searching for something deeper, Stoicism offers clarity. It gives you a way to face life with calm and courage. It helps you focus on what you can control, let go of what you can't, and move forward with confidence. So stay with me as we explore these powerful Stoic teachings, starting from how to find a clear purpose in life, to learning the art of emotional self-control. Each of these 12 principles is a step toward a life where outside events no longer decide how you feel inside. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with real tools and ancient wisdom to help you stay calm, confident, and emotionally untouchable, no matter what life throws at you. Let's start this journey together and see how the powerful lessons of Marcus Aurelius can guide you to a stronger, more peaceful life. If you appreciate the value in this message, one small and free way to support this channel is by clicking the subscribe button, and make sure you don't miss a single part of the video. Principle number 1, build a firm purpose. Imagine being out at sea with no direction, just drifting, reacting to every wave, pulled by every current. That's what life feels like without a firm purpose. You end up tossed around by other people's opinions, random problems, and emotional ups and downs. But when you have a clear purpose, everything changes. You move with intention. You know what matters and what doesn't. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." He understood that clarity of purpose is what separates those who simply survive from those who lead meaningful lives. When you commit to a purpose, it becomes your compass. You stop chasing approval or reacting to distractions. Instead, you walk your path with strength, even when things get hard. This purpose doesn't just show up one day. You have to find it through honest reflection. Ask yourself, what do I really care about? What kind of person do I want to become? What do I want my life to stand for? Once you find the answer, that purpose becomes your anchor. It keeps you grounded through stress, heartbreak, failure, whatever comes your way. Without purpose, every problem feels heavier. But with it, even the biggest challenge becomes just another step in your journey. You stop feeling lost. You start feeling driven. Finding your purpose isn't always quick or easy. It means taking a hard look at your values. It means letting go of shallow goals and tuning in to what really matters to you. It might even mean changing direction. That's okay. Growth often starts with letting go of what no longer fits and making space for something better. Your purpose is built by choice, not chance. But finding it is only the first step. Living by it takes courage. It takes daily effort. You have to protect it from distractions, fear, and doubt. You'll face moments of failure. You'll be tested. That's when your purpose becomes most powerful, when it reminds you why you started and helps you keep going, no matter what. Think of your purpose like a light in the dark. It guides you, calms you, and reminds you of who you really are. The world may shake, people may come and go, but that light stays on. Stoicism teaches us that the world outside is unpredictable. But when you live with purpose, your inner world becomes unshakable. So take time to reflect. Write your purpose down. Revisit it often. Let it lead your decisions. Let it shape your days. And when things get hard, as they always do, look back at your purpose and keep moving forward. That's how strength is built. That's how peace is earned. Principle number 2, learn to control your mind and emotions. When someone disrespects us or challenges us, the first reaction is usually emotional. We feel hurt, angry, maybe even humiliated. But Stoicism teaches us something powerful. Those emotions don't come from the situation itself. They come from how we think about it. Your mind is the filter. What you believe about the moment shapes how you feel about it. That means you have a choice. You can either let your emotions run wild, or you can start training your mind to stay steady no matter what happens. Every time you choose not to react impulsively, you're building inner strength. You're rewiring your brain to respond with calm instead of chaos. It's like going to the gym, but for your mind. And just like building muscle, it takes practice. Start small. Set daily goals. Stick to your word. The more you follow through on promises to yourself, the more self-trust and mental control you develop. One of the most powerful tools is learning to live in the present moment. When you focus on what's happening now, not what might happen or what already did, you gain back control. Most stress comes from thinking too far ahead or getting stuck in the past. But right now, in this very moment, you are okay. When you train your mind to stay here, clarity replaces confusion. Calm replaces panic. Think about the example of a craftsman. Let's say a baker who gets up every day to perfect their work, not for praise, not for likes, but for the love of the craft. That person isn't shaken by others' opinions. Their mind is steady because their focus is internal. You can do the same. You can learn to focus on growth, not approval. That's where true peace comes from. Guarding your mind also means protecting what you let in. Just like you wouldn't fill your home with garbage, don't fill your head with negativity. Be mindful of what you watch, who you listen to, and the kind of energy you allow around you. Surround yourself with people who push you to be better. Read things that challenge you. Think deeply. Your mental space is sacred. Treat it that way. Stoicism isn't about pretending emotions don't exist. It's about understanding them, watching them, choosing not to be ruled by them. It's about knowing the difference between feeling something and being controlled by it. That gap between stimulus and response, that's your power. And the more you train it, the more powerful you become. Another tool is meditation or quiet reflection. Just a few minutes a day to pause and observe your thoughts can make a huge difference. Over time, that practice creates space between what happens to you and how you respond, and in that space, you become free. Don't wait for your emotions to destroy your peace before you take control. Start now. Every thought you reshape, every reaction you master, it all adds up. Over time, your mind becomes your ally, not your enemy. And that's when life starts to feel different, not because the world changed, but because you did. Principle number 3. Handle criticism with strength and clarity. Criticism stings. Whether it comes from a stranger, a coworker, or someone close to you, it can feel like an attack. Our first instinct is often to defend ourselves, to argue back, or to let it shake our confidence. But Stoicism gives us a different option. It teaches us that we don't have to be ruled by other people's opinions. What others say is outside your control, but how you respond, that's yours. And it's in that response where your real power lives. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "I do not trouble myself with those who speak ill of me. They are free to judge as they please. I am free to act according to my nature." That's the Stoic mindset. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. When you live by your own principles, criticism becomes less about you and more about them. It stops feeling like a personal attack and starts looking like an opportunity to grow. The first step is self-knowledge. When you know who you are, why you do what you do, and what values guide your life, other people's words lose their weight. If the criticism is true, you can accept it and improve. If it's false, you can let it go without letting it poison your peace. That kind of self-assurance comes from reflection and living with purpose. When someone criticizes you, don't rush to react. Pause. Ask yourself, is there anything I can learn from this? Sometimes the harshest feedback holds a hidden truth. That doesn't mean you have to agree with everything said. It just means you're open-minded and focused on growth. That mindset takes you further than any argument ever will. Patience and gentleness are key. Stoicism isn't about fighting every battle. It's about choosing the ones that matter. Not every insult needs a comeback. Not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected. When you respond with calm instead of anger, you protect your energy. And in doing so, you set a powerful example. People notice when you handle criticism with grace. You inspire respect, quiet, lasting respect. Think of those who lived lives of deep principle. People who faced criticism, slander, even hatred, and yet stayed kind. Stayed focused. That's not weakness, that's strength. And it's a strength you can build every day. Criticism doesn't have to shake your confidence. It can strengthen it if you let it. Sometimes people criticize because they don't understand you, or because they're dealing with their own pain and need to project it. That's not your burden to carry. Remind yourself that you control what you accept and what you ignore. Just because someone throws a stone doesn't mean you have to pick it up and carry it. And when criticism comes from someone close, someone you care about, use it as a chance to communicate, ask questions, clarify intentions, share your own view with calm and honesty. This turns criticism into conversation, and it deepens connection instead of damaging it. In the end, how you respond to criticism shapes your character more than the words ever could. Hold to your values, stay grounded in your purpose, and let the noise of the world pass by without disturbing your inner stillness. Principle number 4, transform offense into strength. It's normal to feel hurt when someone offends you. A rude comment, a dismissive look, or an unfair action can trigger a rush of anger or sadness. Our minds immediately start spinning. Why did they say that? How could they treat me like this? But Stoicism shows us a different way. It teaches that the offense isn't in what was said or done, it's in how we interpret it. That means we can change how much power we give it. And that's where true freedom begins. You're not weak for feeling hurt. Emotions are natural. What matters is what you do next. Do you hold on to the pain? Do you let it guide your actions? Or do you pause, breathe, and look deeper? Every offense is a test, a moment that challenges you to choose between reaction and reflection. And every time you choose reflection, you become stronger. One of the most effective tools for this is reframing. Instead of thinking, they insulted me, ask, what can I learn from this? Maybe it reveals something about your boundaries. Maybe it teaches you how to stay calm under pressure, or maybe it shows you the kind of person you don't want to be. Either way, you're growing. You don't have to agree with the person who offended you. You don't have to excuse them either. But by choosing not to let their behavior change your inner state, you reclaim your power. You rise above the noise. That's what Stoic strength looks like. Not loud, not reactive, but deeply grounded and steady. Empathy can help too. Ask yourself, what might this person be going through? Maybe their offense wasn't really about you at all. Maybe they're struggling with something they don't know how to handle. That doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it helps you understand it, and that understanding creates space for calm instead of rage. Forgiveness is another powerful tool. Not because the other person deserves it, but because you do. Holding on to offense is like carrying a heavy bag you don't need. It drains your energy, it clouds your thinking. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting, it's about letting go of what no longer serves your peace. The Stoics believed that every challenge is a chance to practice virtue. So when someone offends you, you have an opportunity to practice patience, clarity, and strength. Each time you choose to stay calm, to reflect, to act with integrity, you're building character. You're training yourself to be unshakable. Remember, you don't control what others say or do, but you always control your response. That's the heart of Stoicism. And once you understand that, offense loses its power. It becomes just another moment, one that you can use to grow, to learn, and to become even stronger. Principle number 5, overcome fear and shame through understanding. Fear and shame are two of the most powerful emotions we face. They creep in quietly and stay longer than we expect. Fear tells us we're not ready. Shame tells us we're not good enough. And left unchecked, they can shape how we see ourselves and how we live our lives. But Stoicism gives us the tools to face both, head on. It reminds us that these emotions don't come from the world itself. They come from the meaning we give to things, and meaning can always be changed. Fear usually begins with the unknown. We imagine worst-case scenarios, failures, embarrassment, but ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? Get specific, because when you name the fear, you take away its power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." That's the truth. The more you examine your fear, the smaller it becomes. Take public speaking, for example. Many people fear it, not because the act itself is dangerous, but because of how they think others might judge them. But even if you make a mistake, the world doesn't end. Everyone stumbles sometimes. By preparing, practicing, and facing it again and again, that fear starts to fade. You grow. You prove to yourself that you can do hard things. Shame is heavier. It's personal. It often comes from past mistakes, regrets, or comparisons. But Stoicism teaches us to confront shame with honesty and compassion. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What did I learn from it? Can I grow from it? When you treat shame like a teacher instead of an enemy, it transforms. You stop running from it and start using it to build a better version of yourself. Another key to overcoming shame is self-forgiveness. Holding on to guilt keeps you stuck, but forgiving yourself, that frees you. It doesn't mean you're proud of every mistake. It means you've accepted what happened, learned the lesson, and are now moving forward with more wisdom. That's strength, not weakness. The best way to beat fear and shame is through action. Start small. Face what scares you in little doses. Talk to someone you trust. Share what you've been holding in. That vulnerability builds courage. And the more you take those small steps, the less fear and shame can control you. You're not alone in feeling these things. Everyone does. But not everyone learns how to face them. Stoicism gives you that path. A path where emotions don't own you, and your past doesn't define you. You define you. And every step you take to understand and overcome fear and shame, that's a step toward freedom. Principle number 6. Anticipate obstacles before they arrive. Life rarely goes exactly as planned. Something unexpected always shows up, a delay, a mistake, a difficult person. But Stoicism doesn't tell us to be surprised by these things. It teaches us to expect them, to prepare for them ahead of time, not with fear, but with calm readiness. Marcus Aurelius and the other Stoics called this mental exercise premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of misfortunes. By visualizing what could go wrong, we prepare ourselves to respond with strength instead of panic. This isn't about being negative or paranoid, it's about being realistic. When you expect that problems will come, and they always do, you're no longer caught off guard. You're not rattled, you're ready, and that changes everything. Because most of the pain we feel in tough moments isn't just from the event itself, it's from the shock, from the why is this happening to me? But if you already considered that possibility, you skip the shock. You go straight into action. Take a simple example, a big presentation. What if the tech fails? What if someone asks a tough question? What if you forget something? These aren't crazy fears, they're real possibilities. But by thinking them through calmly, before the moment comes, you reduce their power. You've already seen them in your mind. And more importantly, you've already decided how you'll handle them. This habit makes you flexible, adaptable. When you stop clinging to how things should go, you can flow with how they do go. You become like water, strong but not rigid. The Stoics believed that this kind of mental preparation builds resilience, patience, and emotional control. You stop fighting reality and start working with it. It's also about balance. You don't just focus on what might go wrong. You also remind yourself of your strengths, your past experiences, your skills, your support system. You prepare not just for the worst, but also for how you'll rise above it. That confidence comes from experience, but it grows through preparation. Reflection is a key part of this. Look back at your past challenges. What threw you off? What could you have handled better? What tools helped you? By studying your own life, you become your own teacher. And by taking a few minutes each day to mentally rehearse possible challenges, you build a calm, alert mind that doesn't get shaken easily. This practice turns fear into readiness. It turns anxiety into focus. And when obstacles do appear, and they will, you won't just survive them. You'll meet them with clarity, calm, and confidence. That's what it means to live like a Stoic, not hoping for a perfect life, but preparing for a strong one. Principle number 7. Build inner strength through self-awareness. What happens around you matters far less than what happens within you. This is one of the core truths of Stoicism. Life will test you, people will misunderstand you, circumstances will change. But the real question is, how strong are you on the inside? Because true strength isn't about being loud, aggressive, or dominant. It's about being calm under pressure. It's about knowing who you are and choosing how to respond no matter what the world throws at you. Marcus Aurelius taught that we cannot always change what happens to us, but we can always decide how to interpret it. And that decision, the one you make in your own mind, is where real strength is built. The more you understand your emotions, your triggers, your values, the less the outside world can disturb your peace. That's what self-awareness gives you: protection, clarity, and control. Self-awareness starts with observation. When you feel upset, don't just react. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling? Why does this bother me so much? Is it about this moment or something deeper? The more you reflect on your reactions, the more power you gain over them. You begin to see patterns. You start to notice the difference between the situation and the story you're telling yourself about it. Stoic strength also means knowing what's in your control and what isn't. You can't control other people's opinions or the economy or what happens in the news, but you can control your mindset, your actions, your focus. That shift from obsessing over the uncontrollable to mastering the controllable is what creates a steady, confident inner life. Forgiveness is another part of this strength. Holding grudges or past regrets drains your energy. It clouds your mind. Letting go, not for others, but for your own peace, clears space inside you. You don't have to carry every weight. Some things are better left behind. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Resilience comes from facing hard things and getting back up again. Each challenge you overcome makes you stronger, not just in the eyes of others, but within yourself. You learn to trust your own ability to bounce back. You stop fearing struggle. You start seeing it as training. Building inner strength also means surrounding yourself with people and ideas that lift you up. Spend time with those who encourage your growth. Read books that stretch your mind. Take care of your body, your mental health, your space. Inner strength is supported by the environment you create for yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Gratitude plays a role too. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, your energy changes. You become more grounded, more peaceful, and less easily shaken. Even in the middle of stress, you can find something to be thankful for. That mindset builds a strong, calm foundation. Self-awareness isn't something you master overnight. It's a daily practice. But each time you pause before reacting, each time you reflect instead of blaming, each time you choose growth over comfort, you're building real, lasting strength. And once that inner strength is in place, the world outside can no longer control what happens inside. Principle number 8. Practice restraint in actions and words. It's easy to act on impulse. Someone cuts you off in traffic and your first reaction is to yell. You feel hurt and you lash out. You feel tempted and you give in. These are the moments that shape our character, but we rarely think twice before reacting. Stoicism teaches us that true strength isn't in doing whatever we feel. It's in knowing when not to. Practicing restraint is one of the most powerful forms of self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote often about the importance of pausing, of creating space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. That space is where your freedom lives. When you rush to speak or act without thinking, you give your power away. But when you pause, reflect, and then respond with intention, you're taking ownership of your mind and your life. Start with small moments. When you feel the urge to interrupt someone, pause. When you feel like saying something out of anger, wait. Ask yourself, will this help? Will this hurt? Does this reflect who I want to be? That moment of hesitation isn't weakness. It's control. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Delaying gratification is another form of restraint. In a world that constantly tells us to chase fast rewards and quick fixes, saying "not now" is powerful. Whether it's food, money, attention, or validation, the ability to wait, to work for something rather than grab it right away, builds discipline. And discipline is freedom, because when you're no longer ruled by your urges, you become unstoppable. This principle also applies in conflict. When emotions run high, we're tempted to say things we don't mean, to argue just to win. But Stoicism reminds us your words have weight. Use them carefully. Speak with intention. Choose language that builds, not breaks, that bridges, not burns. This doesn't mean staying silent. It means speaking with clarity, respect, and purpose. Restraint isn't about becoming passive or emotionless. It's about choosing your responses instead of being dragged around by them. It's about recognizing the difference between reaction and action, between impulse and integrity. When you live with restraint, you stop being controlled by the world, and start influencing it through your calm, deliberate presence. To develop restraint, pay attention to your habits. Do you scroll when you're anxious? Speak over people when you're nervous? Spend money when you're stressed? These patterns can be changed, not by force, but by awareness. Set up systems that support your self-control. Structure your days. Limit distractions. Create space for reflection. Mindfulness is a powerful ally in this practice. When you're aware of your thoughts and feelings as they arise, you gain the power to choose your next move. Whether it's through meditation, journaling, or quiet walks, building mindfulness into your routine makes it easier to catch yourself before reacting. And every time you do that, you strengthen your self-control. In the end, restraint is a habit. And like any habit, it grows with practice. You won't always get it right, but every time you do, you're proving to yourself that you're not a prisoner of your impulses. You're in charge, and that quiet, steady control, that's one of the most powerful traits you can ever develop. Principle number 9, accept what you cannot control. When something goes wrong in life, like losing a job, facing illness, or watching a relationship fall apart, our instinct is often to resist. We think, this shouldn't be happening, and in that resistance, we create more pain. Stoicism teaches us a powerful truth. Peace begins where resistance ends. When you stop fighting what you can't control, you start focusing on what you can. And that's where real change begins. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means seeing things clearly. If something is outside your control, then no amount of anger, anxiety, or regret will change it. But what you can change is how you respond. That's where your power lives. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Welcome, whatever comes woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could fit you better." The Stoics weren't suggesting we enjoy hardship, but that we learn to work with life instead of against it. Think of it this way. If it's raining, you can get mad, or you can grab an umbrella. One of those keeps you wet. The other keeps you moving forward. That's the difference between reaction and acceptance. When you accept, you're not pretending to like what's happening. You're choosing to stop wasting energy on what you can't change and putting that energy into what you can. This mindset is especially powerful during loss or failure. You can't undo the past. You can't force people to stay. You can't always control outcomes. But you can decide how to carry yourself through it. You can let the moment break you or build you. Acceptance gives you that choice. It brings clarity in confusion and direction in uncertainty. One way to practice acceptance is by staying present. Most of our suffering comes not from the moment we're in, but from our thoughts about it. We replay the past. We worry about the future. We argue with reality. But in the now there is peace. Acceptance brings you back to the present, where your power is. Another way is through gratitude. Even in the middle of difficulty, there's something to be thankful for. A lesson, a friend, a breath, a second chance. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. And when you combine gratitude with acceptance, you build an inner calm that doesn't shake when life does. Letting go of the need for control also helps your relationships. People won't always act how you want. They'll have their own paths, beliefs, mistakes. When you accept others as they are, you stop trying to fix them and start building better, more authentic connections. It's not about lowering your standards. It's about seeing clearly and choosing peace over power struggles. Acceptance is strength. It's the ability to say, this is what is. Now what can I do with it? That simple shift changes everything. You go from a victim of circumstances to the author of your response. And in that response lies your freedom, your peace, and your power. Principle number 10. Live according to your nature. What does it mean to live in alignment with your true self? The Stoics believe that we each have a nature, a way of being that's rooted in reason, virtue, and connection. And when we live out of alignment with that nature, we suffer. We feel lost, anxious, and disconnected. But when we live according to our nature, we experience clarity, purpose, and peace. For Marcus Aurelius, this meant living with integrity, with self-discipline, and in harmony with others. Living according to your nature starts with self-awareness. Who are you, really? Not who society tells you to be. Not who you pretend to be to get approval. But your true self, your values, your strengths, your sense of right and wrong. When you start making choices that reflect that deeper part of you, life begins to feel more honest, more meaningful. It also means accepting that life has its own rhythm. Just like nature changes with seasons, so do we. There are times of growth, times of stillness, and times of letting go. Fighting those seasons only creates stress, but when you learn to move with them, to trust the timing of your life, you stop forcing things and start flowing with them. That's the kind of peace Stoicism points us toward. Another key part of living according to nature is practicing virtue. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to choose wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. These aren't abstract ideas, they're guiding principles. Wisdom means thinking clearly. Courage means doing what's right even when it's hard. Justice means treating others with fairness. Self-control means choosing discipline over impulse. When you live by these virtues, you align with your higher nature, and life begins to make sense. You're not meant to live in isolation either. Stoicism teaches that we are social beings, and part of our nature is to contribute to the whole. That means showing up with compassion, helping others, being part of something larger than yourself. When you focus only on your own problems, your world becomes small. But when you serve others, your world expands, and your struggles feel lighter. Living simply is also part of this principle. In today's world, it's easy to chase status, wealth, or distraction. But deep down, you know those things don't last. Stoicism teaches us to return to what truly matters: honesty, purpose, connection. You don't need more to feel better. You need less noise and more truth, more presence. Gratitude brings you back to your nature too. When you stop to appreciate what you already have, your health, your breath, your lessons, you stop chasing illusions. You start seeing clearly. And with that clarity, you make better choices. You begin to live with intention, not habit. That's how you reclaim your time, your focus, and your inner peace. Living according to nature means respecting the world you're part of. The environment, the people in your life, the quiet moments, all of it is connected. Take care of it. Take care of yourself. Because when you live in alignment with your true nature, the outside world may still be chaotic, but inside you'll feel steady, focused, and free. Principle number 11. Learn to love what's fleeting. Nothing lasts forever. People change. Circumstances shift. Even our own bodies and thoughts evolve with time. Yet most of our suffering comes from acting as if life is permanent. We hold on too tightly. We expect things to stay the same. But the Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, reminded themselves constantly of life's impermanence, not to become sad or hopeless, but to become more alive, more grateful, and more present. When you realize that everything you love is temporary, it changes how you see the world. You stop taking moments for granted. You appreciate people more. You live more intentionally. Marcus wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." That's not meant to frighten you, it's meant to wake you up. Because the truth is, we waste too much time on grudges, on distractions, on chasing things that don't really matter. Memento mori, remember you will die, was a Stoic practice of reflecting on mortality. But it wasn't morbid, it was clarifying. When you accept that time is limited, you stop living on autopilot. You stop waiting for some perfect day to start living. You realize that today is that day, and that awareness can make even ordinary moments feel extraordinary. Think about your relationships. How often do we argue over small things, forgetting how short life is? How often do we withhold kind words, thinking we'll have more chances? But when you remember that nothing is guaranteed, not tomorrow, not even the next hour, you start showing up differently. You speak with love. You forgive faster. You make space for what truly matters. This mindset also changes how you deal with loss. It doesn't make grief disappear, but it helps you understand it. Everything that comes into your life is on loan. Nothing is truly yours to keep. Not people, not status, not even your youth. So instead of clinging, you learn to cherish. You stop asking things to last forever. You start being fully present while they're here. Even your own fears shrink in the face of impermanence. That big embarrassment you're worried about, it'll pass. That mistake you keep reliving, one day it'll just be a memory. Stoicism teaches us to zoom out, to see life from a wider angle, and from that place you realize how small most of your worries really are. Embracing the temporary nature of life isn't about detachment or coldness. It's about depth. It's about feeling more, not less. Because when you know something won't last forever, you give it your full attention. You love harder, you listen better. You stop numbing out and start showing up for your life, your purpose, and the people who matter most. So remember this, nothing lasts. And that's exactly what makes life so precious. Use that knowledge as fuel to live with urgency, gratitude, and heart. Because when you live with that awareness, every moment becomes a gift. Principle number 12. Let your actions reflect your values. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you say you believe, it matters what you do. Words are easy. Thoughts are invisible. But your actions, that's what people see. That's what shapes your life. And Stoicism teaches us that true character is shown not when things are easy, but when life gets difficult. In those moments, your values are either something you live by or something you forget. The Stoics challenged us to live each day as a clear reflection of what we stand for. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to act with integrity, regardless of how others behaved. He knew he couldn't control the world around him, but he could control whether he lived in alignment with his principles. That's the ultimate test. Can you stay honest when it would be easier to lie? Can you stay calm when others lose their temper? Can you keep showing up even when you're tired, discouraged, or afraid? Living by your values gives you stability. When you know what you stand for, decisions become simpler. You don't need to chase approval or get caught up in the crowd. You already have a compass. Whether it's kindness, discipline, courage, or patience, those values become your standard. You stop living by moods and start living by meaning. This doesn't mean you'll always get it right. You're human. You'll slip up. You'll act out of fear or ego sometimes. But Stoicism isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about noticing when you've drifted and gently returning to your path. Every day gives you a new chance to realign. Every moment is an opportunity to act better than before. When life tests you, when someone insults you, when plans fall apart, when emotions run high, that's when your values matter most. That's when you find out who you really are. And every time you choose action that reflects your highest principles, you strengthen your identity. You become someone you're proud of. Not just when others are watching, but when you're alone, and it's just you and your conscience. This is how you build confidence, not through external validation, but through internal alignment. You respect yourself because you know you're living according to your truth. You don't need to fake it. You don't need to impress anyone. Your peace comes from within. Let your daily life become your philosophy in action. Let your words match your values, and your choices reflect what you believe. That's how you turn Stoicism from a set of ideas into a way of life. That's how you grow. That's how you lead. That's how you become unshakable. Well, you've just walked through 12 timeless principles of Stoicism, each one a powerful tool to help you take back control of your mind, your emotions, and your life. These ideas weren't meant to stay on dusty pages of ancient books. They were made to be lived, to be practiced, to be used every single day as a shield against chaos and a compass toward peace. The truth is, life will never stop testing you. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. Emotions will rise. But the Stoics didn't try to avoid this. They prepared for it. And now you can too. Because you have the tools, you have the mindset, and you have the clarity to face anything without losing yourself. Marcus Aurelius didn't have an easy life, but he became strong, not because things were easy, but because he trained his mind to be steady when everything else was not. You can do the same. These 12 principles are not quick fixes. They're lifelong practices, but each time you use one, you'll feel the difference. You'll feel more grounded, more present, and more free. Remember, you have power over your choices. You have power over your mindset. And no matter what life throws at you, nothing can affect you unless you let it. If you found value in this video and want to keep learning how to apply Stoic wisdom in your daily life, the best way to support this channel is by subscribing and sharing this with someone who needs it. Your journey doesn't end here. It's just beginning. Stay strong, stay grounded, and keep practicing the mindset that leads to peace, power, and purpose.